Hi everyone! In this video, I show you how I replicate my favorite pair of jeans. If you're interested, stay tuned. This video is about how to clone your favorite pair of jeans. We will start by deconstructing one leg and then we'll make pattern pieces out of it, and then we will reconstruct your favorite pair of jeans. You'll need a seam ripper and you need a lot of patience. Very important that you trace accurately the crotch area and also the back seam. It's also important that you deconstruct the front fly because this is where a lot of pattern pieces meet, and you really want to make sure to use the correct dimensions because this part can be not centered if you don't use the correct pattern pieces. For the belt loops and any other pieces that are attached with tack bars, I cutted them because I wasn't able to unpick these tack bars. So I think since we don't want to reconstruct that pair of original jeans, it's okay if some pieces are just not perfect. It's also important that you keep one leg together so you can go back and look for the top stitching details, the belt loop placement, and all sort of like reference. So I would keep one leg together. Also keep all the pieces, and even if you unpick them, try to notice where the top stitching was. Make sure that you trace all of these pattern pieces. So you'll need a front, a back, a fly extension, a coin pocket, a pocket facing, a pocket bag, a back pocket, a yoke, a waistband, and a long piece for belt loops. The most important thing when you are tracing your pattern pieces is to define the width of the seam allowance. You can change it, and also you might lose some of the original seam allowance, so I personally recommend that you trace it again. I decided to use 1.5 centimeters because I wanted to have more wiggle room for the size, because I know that the fabric that I'm using is less stretchy than the original fabric. Now that all your pattern pieces are traced, it's time to cut the pattern pieces in the new fabric and to reconstruct the pair of jeans. So in order to do that, you will need fabric that has a similar stretch, as close as you can, as the original fabric. Most of the jeans now have 15 to 20% stretch, so make sure you have a fabric that's stretchy enough. But maybe you are reconstructing a pair of jeans that is non-stretch, so that's a lot easier, because I mean, to know like what percentage of stretch a fabric has is a little bit harder than to just say it's not stretch. So that's a plus for you. You'll need a jean zipper that's the same length as the original pair of jeans, or that's longer. Mine was a lot longer and I just cut it. You'll need a denim needle. You can use top stitching thread. I found that my original pair of jeans didn't use top stitching thread like of a contrasting color, it was just black, so I decided to avoid changing threads because I'm lazy and I use just regular threads. You will need fabric scraps for the pocket bags. You'll need a jeans button, and you'll also need rivets if you want to add them. I just decided not to add them because, I don't know, they're just a pain to install. But that's because I'm lazy again, but it really gives a more original jeans kind of look. And you will need interfacing for the waistband. Okay, so now we'll get into the reconstruction. So I will guide through all the steps. If it's too fast, let me know in the comments. I really want to improve my tutorials on YouTube, so let me know any feedback that you have, and I will let you with this step-by-step tutorial to make your own pair of jeans. The first part of the jeans that we'll start to construct is the fly. In order to do that, the first thing that we'll do is to finish the raw edge of the fly. We'll fold into the fly extension and we will finish the raw edges right here. We will turn it the right way around and serge this edge. Now make sure that the zipper stop is lined up with the same area that it was for our first pair of jeans. In the next step, we will stitch the zipper to the fly extension. Then we'll flip this on the other side. We'll line up the notches with the front right leg and we'll stitch them both together. After that, we will fold this like this and top stitch right here. So as you can see, we're on the left leg and we try to fit this fly around the same area as the original fly. So what we'll do, we'll sew this right sides together and then we will turn it right way out like this and we will top stitch this and we'll clip into the seam allowance just below the fly and we will fold everything nicely with wrong sides together. I think I forgot to mention it, but we also had to clip here into the seam allowance of the right front leg as well. Now that both these steps are done, we will baste the front legs with right sides together, sewing right here with the seam allowance that you choose earlier when you drafted the pattern. So once this is basted, we will make sure that everything looks nice at the front and we will stitch the left side of the zipper onto the fly that's sewn to the left front leg. And after that, we will top stitch this part. So it seems like a lot, but it's really simple. So remember, we baste this right here, then we sew the left leg of the zipper onto the fly, and then we top stitch everything. So I pinned the fly extension onto the right front leg because I want to make sure that when I top stitch on the left leg, I don't catch this fly extension and that I only catch the fly. That's right here. I also traced a template for my top stitching because this is the most visible top stitching of the jeans. So you really want this to be really nice and straight. Top stitching line because it's what is usually done with jeans. When this top stitching is complete, the next step is to unpick the basting stitch we did right here at the crotch area and to do regular stitch. Afterwards, we fold the seam allowance towards the left front bend and we do the top stitching for this part. After that, if you're interested in making some bar tacks, you can. And you should do them right here before it starts to curve and right here at the top of the top stitching of the crotch area. So you should be proud, you just made the front zipper of a pair of jeans all by yourself. The next step will be to sew the front pocket onto the front leg. So what we'll do is that after sewing the pocket facing onto the pocket bag, we will put the pocket bag right side up onto the right side of the jean, like this. We will stitch this here, then we will turn the pocket like this. So we will have this nice pocket bag. The finished result, it looks like this. After that, we will be done with the front legs for a little bit. Our next step will be to sew the back pocket onto the back leg. We will use the little notches that we made on the sewing pattern based on the placement of the pockets on the original pair of pants. We will fold under the edges of the pockets and we will top stitch 2 rows if you want to have something that's a little bit more conventional. The top edge, and then we will stitch the double rows on the back leg. And once this is done, We will sew right sides together the yoke onto the back leg. So to do that, always remember that the highest side of the yoke is on the inside of the back leg. We will fold under the seam allowance onto the back leg, and we will top stitch 2 rows, fixing the seam allowance onto the back leg. So from the inside it would look like this. After that, we will sew right sides together, both legs with their yokes, like this. And then we will press this seam allowance towards the left leg, and we will do 2 rows of top stitching on this leg. The next step will be to bring the front and the back together. So we will sew the inseams of the front and the back leg together, and we will press the seam allowance towards the front leg of the garment and top stitch this seam allowance towards the front. So for the belt loop, I'll use this fabric because it's not the same on the right side and on the wrong side. It was too hard to see with my black fabric. So with this, let's say this is like the strip that you select for your belt loops. Mine was 5 centimeters wide. You actually just serge both long edges, and then you fold under each edges like this, and then you get this little strip. You top stitch, and then you cut it. My belt loops were 8 centimeters long, and then you fold under 1.5 centimeters, and you get a 5 centimeter long belt loop. You stitch this onto your jeans. And for the waistband, what you do is that you fold it like this, and then you fold the edges using the width of the seam allowance, and then right sides together you sew this edge that the seam allowance isn't folded onto the pair of jeans, and then with right sides together you fold the edges like this. So you create the edges, and then you put this right sides together, and you just top stitch everything. And then the steps that are left is to install the button and the buttonhole. I would advise to be careful and not to put the button too much on the left side, like this button. Don't do the mistake of putting it too straight over the zipper. Put it a little bit more towards the right leg, because there's always a little bit pulling on this zipper. Anyway, I noticed, so you really want to have a good overlap. So that's a recommendation that I would give. Also, you need to hem the jeans, so depending on the hem allowance that you gave when you traced the pattern, just use that and hem your jeans. And after that you are done. Oh, maybe I forgot, but you need to, after you sew the inseam, you need to sew like the seam that's outside of the leg, but that's a given. So this is it. You made a really great pair of jeans based on your favorite pair of ready-to-wear jeans. So congratulations! Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel so far, please subscribe. I will try to release more tutorials, and as always, you can find my makes video at the end of every month. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next sewing video. Bye!